What's up, YouTube? Today the topic will be, I would say, controversial irrationality in the soccer card market, and this is something that most of you guys are aware, but I tend to believe we should put some critical thinking in this discussion. But before I go into the video, let me say one thing. I put a lot of effort doing videos like this every day. I think a like is more than fair. If you can give a like to this video, I would appreciate. If you can subscribe, that will be amazing too. So thank you for all the support. That being said, let me do my disclaimer. No financial advice, my opinions are just that, opinions. This channel is about soccer cards, but my views can be applied to other markets. Prices/pops can eventually be wrong at the time you see this video. Do not feel proud if you made money in this market. Everyone made, let's be real. We had a super bullish market in the last year, but things change and they change quite fast, okay? No one can predict the market, especially short term. Fundamentals are your best friend in the long run. I don't believe timing the market, I believe time in the market as long as you spend that time well, and of course to some extent we need to time the market, okay? Keep in mind that I'm a collector first and an investor second. I look first at value instead of price. English is not my main language. Any types or mispronunciations, I'm sorry, okay? So, investing in dreams. Look, I understand. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Let's be real. The price-in effect on a couple of players like Mbappe, Haaland is very strong. But in the other hand, you can make a very solid argument and tell me, yes, but think about this. Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, they are getting old. And there is a likely scenario Haaland and Mbappe could be the face of the soccer card world, could be the face of the soccer world. And that's a very solid point, to be fair with you. And I actually would agree with you. At this point, if I had to predict the two best players, the two potentially Ballon d'Or players in the future, I would say Haaland and Mbappe. And again, I believe most of you guys would say the same. Someone will say Foden, others will say Pedri, Havertz, but in general, Mbappe and Haaland are the ones that most people will end up choosing. And there is nothing wrong with that. So, of course, we are investing in a dream, because at this point they are not that players yet in my perspective, but they have a strong potential to be that type of player. Apart from that, we are talking about players that end up scoring 40 goals every season, so the highlights for those players will be a thing constantly, and that's something very, very important. For example, when you invest in, there is a lot of good young defenders or a lot of good young midfielders, but investing on those players gets a little bit more tricky, because even if they become very good or even top in their position, take a look at, for example, Baresi prices. Baresi is one of the best defenders ever from Italy. Take a look at Pepe, for example, from Portugal. Pepe has been one of the best defenders for the last 20 years, and no one cares at this point. And that's the reality. You can say there is some type of irrationality on that side. I would agree with you, but to some extent we need to accept that a player that have a strong spotlight, I would say, will perform better in the soccer card world. Look, for example, if you compare Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi with Xavi, I don't think the difference is that big, to be fair with you. I think Xavi, of course, was a very different player, but in his position was elite, was one of the best in the world, maybe the best ever. But when you compare prices, they are super, super, super different. But I understand that, and same logic goes for Mbappe and Haaland. If you are investing on those men, even if I believe, I would say not all the cards, but a couple of cards for those guys are a little bit overpriced at the moment, I still understand the logic behind, because makes some sense to believe those will be the baby gods. A lot of people actually use this concept, this term, and look, it's fun and I understand. But again, if you are investing on those two players, I actually understand the logic behind, but that's not what I'm talking today. So, Camavinga case. Most of you guys probably in the soccer cards world are aware of Eduardo Camavinga. In the soccer world, to be fair, I tend to believe Camavinga is more famous in the soccer card world than there is in the soccer world. That being said, he's still a very popular player at the moment, especially after the transfer for Real Madrid. But I tend to believe his case is very particular and is a case that I don't understand. And if I had to pick one player to say this is where the market is being very, very irrational, will be Camavinga. Let me say one thing first. Do I think Camavinga is very good? Yes. Do I think Camavinga can actually have a great future? Yes. Okay? It's nothing against Camavinga. It's just his case for me makes not a lot of sense. So let's take a look at this sticker. I end up choosing, there is a lot of rookies for Camavinga nowadays. I end up choosing the traditional one, the 2019 Panini Foot Eduardo Camavinga. And I end up choosing another player that actually plays a similar position, 2014 Panini Foot and N'Golo Kante. What is the good thing about this comparison is actually in terms of lineage, I'm choosing the same the same sub-brand for Panini. So in that sense, lineage is the same for both players. And before, there is a smart Andy on a comment saying things like this. Look, Camavinga is a defensive midfielder, but is not exactly like Kante. And look, I would tend to agree with you on that. He's a little bit more creative, but Kante is more defensive and actually quite amazing in his position. But you can make other comparisons. For example, if you don't like Kante, put Patrick Vieira, for example. Put Emmanuel Petit, for example. Put Sergio Busquets, for example. You can make, or even Xavi. You can put a lot of players, end up going with Kante, because the reality is, even if you don't agree with me, in terms of stats, this man, Camavinga, have been playing more in the defensive position of the midfield, okay? So that being said, I thought was a fair comparison to some extent, of course. When you look at the PSA total for the sticker, is over 100 and PSA 10 is 30. PSA 10 sells around a little bit more sometimes, to be fair, but let's say sells around $500. Which for me seems quite a big sale. And then when you look at the PSA 9, sells around 115, okay? Again, still a very good sale in my perspective. But now let's take a look at the Kante market. The PSA total for this sticker is only 12. And you can say, whoa, is that sticker much more rare than the Eduardo Camavinga one? No, I don't think it's more rare. I think it's more rare because Time Automatic gives some type of rarity to the sticker. Apart from that, the release for Eduardo Camavinga was market was more aware, so there was more people actually saving this sticker than there was people saving this one. So automatic, I assume, and this is very logical, that this card is way maybe a strong word, but is less rare than this one. But again, you can still find both raw quite easily on eBay. But for a long time, especially when Kante was at the top of his hype, this sticker was actually quite difficult to find raw. That being said, I would say the sticker for Kante is more rare, but the Eduardo Camavinga, again, is not rare at all. I mean, in my perspective, both are not rare at all. I would say this. So, PSA 10 total for this is 8. So, the jamming rate is actually quite good. But again, this data is anecdotal. And the BGS 9, look, there is no PSA 10. So, I need to go with the BGS 9 that sold very recently for over $300. And the SGC 9 sells for, again, same as the PSA 9. You can actually make a good argument. Look, if this was a PSA 9, maybe you'll sell for $200 instead of that price, and that will be a fair argument. But I think it's fair to say their prices are quite similar, and actually when you put in perspective their queries, that makes not a lot of sense. When you look at stats, for example, in League 1, you can see that Camavinga played 71 games and ended up scoring 2 goals and 4 assists. Well, let's take a look at Kante in League 1. Ended up playing 37 games, scoring 2 goals, with way less games, and actually 5 assists. So again, this data I don't even look. I'm not putting the data just for the fun of the video, because I don't think that this is actually a great. Those stats should not be taken in consideration, because you can say that Eduardo Camavinga was way younger than Kante. And look, okay, with that I understand your perspective, but let me say one thing. When you put in perspective what Kante did, look, Kante is World Cup winner. Kante is Champions League winner. Kante is Premier League winner, by the way, with Leicester and Chelsea and more trophies. I'm just putting the big ones. Eduardo Camavinga, very logically, have no relevant titles at this point, but he's still very good. The thing I'm trying to share with you is, this is actually quite fun. If you go to YouTube, and you guys can do that research alone, I would say, if you put Camavinga, a lot of people put on the title, Camavinga, the next Mbappe, not Mbappe, I'm sorry, the next Kante, Camavinga, future Kante. And I was like, yeah, I mean, they are different, but I understand where people are coming, because they actually play in a similar position. They are different. As I said, there is more technique for me with Camavinga, but way stronger cardio and defensive skills with Kante. But that being said, when you compare prices, when you compare props, I think it's fair to say that Kante is more rare, and apart from that, he sells for almost the same. And if you believe this man will be the next Kante, why not invest in Kante already? By the way, Kante is not even that old. Apart from that, Kante is one of the best ever in his position. Guys, in terms of odds, you guys can disagree with me whatever you want. In terms of odds, most likely scenario is Camavinga not going to the Kante level. You could say, I believe Camavinga will surpass Kante. Are crazy. I mean, you could be correct eventually. There is a chance on that. But that's the same as gambling in crazy big odds. Of course, you can make profit. But there is the most likely scenario is losing money. So what do you think will happen if you are investing in Eduardo Camavinga? Look, but in this case it's different. And this is why I'm trying to push some type of critical thinking for this conversation. You can make a solid argument and tell me like this. Look, maybe Camavinga is corrected, his price makes sense. I don't believe it, by the way, but let's say you believe his prices are okay at this point, and this Kante that is actually very undervalued. And look, I actually believe Kante is super undervalued in the market for the player Kante is at this point. You can say, oh, but Kante do not score a lot of goals. Well, Camavinga, the same thing. Kante do not create a lot of chances. Actually creates more than Camavinga. So, do you understand how can this be so complex to assess value for a player like Camavinga? Look, as I said, if you are investing in Haaland and Mbappe, even if I believe they are a little bit overvalued right now in the market, I understand your logic. Those men's potential will be the face of the soccer card world. To be fair, they are already part of the faces of the soccer card world. Camavinga is not that man. I'm sorry. Look, let's continue, because I want to share with you other example. So guys, please understand this. And if you guys understand this, I tend to believe you guys will avoid a lot of FOMO. You guys will avoid this trap that the market sometimes put in front of you. When you invest in Camavinga, guys, listen very carefully right now. When you invest in Camavinga, you need to hope for Camavinga becoming a legendary player, not a good player, by the way, not a good player or an amazing player, a legendary player, because that's what the market is expecting. So the expectations are so high that the chance to fail is giant. It is what it is. You can disagree. Priced in factor is a factor that is very strong on his cards on this particular sticker. Apart from that, you need to hope for another thing, that is the soccer market the soccer market growth. The collectible world keeps doing well. And that you can apply to Kante. So when you invest in Kante, what you need to hope for his card to perform, to keep performing well, I would say, his performance is a plus at this point, okay? It's not a thing anymore. He's already a legendary player. Guys, this man, apart from actually being, or at least seems like an amazing person, and there is a lot of fans for Kante, by the way, and that's a disconnection that I don't understand with his cards, to be fair. But when you look at Kante, look, World Cup, Champions League with Chelsea, Premier League with Leicester, Premier League with Chelsea. Apart from that, I believe Kante is still in his prime. So his career will be, I believe Kante will end up winning more trophies. That seems logical to me. If it will be a Champions League or another World Cup, I cannot predict that, of course, but I believe there is, at least in terms of odds, there is a good chance that Kante will end up winning more important trophies. So, if that's the case, that's a plus, because he's already a legendary player. What you need to hope is the soccer card market to keep growing, but you need that on Camavinga. So, when you are investing in Kante, you are gambling in one thing. the soccer card market keeps performing well, or at least stabilizing, or I would say even if there is not, even if there isn't another bull run like in the last year, at least a stabilization on the market or a slow pace growing, and that's in my perspective actually the most likely scenario. Okay, but when you invest in Camavinga, you are gambling into front. Do you understand how different this is? You are gambling into fronts. For example, if you invest in KANTE, as I said, you gamble in one thing, the market doing well. When you invest in Camavinga, even if the market ends up performing well, you lose money. If his career is not what people are expecting, and people are expecting crazy things for Camavinga. And apart from that, you can apply the same logic with KANTE. Even if Camavinga goes to the top level, surpasses Patrick Vieira, KANTE, Busquets, Yaya Touré, if the soccer card market is not doing well, you are losing money, and that does not matter, okay? So, that's your choice. You could gamble on two fronts, and one front is way riskier than the other in my perspective, and that is his performance being good and achieving a legendary status, or you can invest in one front that I believe there is a likely scenario you are correct on that front, okay? Moving on. Some final ideas. I honestly believe a lot of investors never saw Camavinga play. I honestly believe on that, I'm sorry. Or do not even know what position he plays. You guys, again, I know a lot of people will get offended with me. There is a lot of Americans that think Camavinga is the next Ronaldinho. I'm not joking. They think his technique is so good. Yeah, but he plays in a different position. There's a lot of players that believe this man is the next Iniesta. I don't get it. He's probably the next KANTE, he's probably the next Patrick Vieira, and I don't even believe in that, to be fair, because odds makes me not believe in that. But if there is a potential scenario for him to be similar to a player, I would put Patrick Vieira, KANTE, Busquets, whatever player you want to put, but in those lines, I would say. Camavinga is a very good player with an amazing potential, don't get me wrong. This only shows one thing, guys. Our market is super new. The lack of knowledge is giant at this point, okay? By the way, Camavinga was reports from Spain that Camavinga most likely will play part of the season at Real Madrid B, Castilla. How crazy is that? Oh, but he's only 18, okay? But trust, look, if he actually plays one season, if he actually spends one season without big highlights, guys, there is no magic to this. His cards will crash quite hard. Apart from that, I have more bad news for Camavinga investors. There is a man with the name Casemiro, which is actually one of the best players ever in his position too, that only have 29 years. I believe Casemiro is still in his prime, or is still playing at a very good level. So I'm not seeing Casemiro going to the bench and Camavinga going to the first 11. Oh, you can say, but you still have France. Yeah, in France there is even a giant problem. N'Golo Kanté, one of the best ever, or maybe the best ever in his position. I don't think he's the best ever. I actually believe Busquets is the best ever in his position, but Kanté is one of his top 3, top 5, very easy. So, wait. He's most likely not playing for France. You can say, no, but he plays in the spot of Pogba. I don't think Pogba seems like actually hitting his prime right now. He plays in the, I don't know, in the Tolisso or Rabiot, maybe, but you are gambling quite a lot. And that's not even the style for France, by the way. So think about this. Sometimes if you guys put some critical thinking, you guys see that you are investing for a disaster. You can say, oh, can I be wrong? Yes. Look, Casemiro actually, I hope not, breaks a leg or something, and Camavinga fits right in the first 11 and plays amazing. Is that a possibility? Of course it is. And look, I hope the best for the kid if that's the case. And Real Madrid is a very good team. But even that, you can make a solid argument for La Liga is actually losing a lot of power right now. No Messi, no Cristiano Ronaldo, no Iniesta, no Xavi anymore. What stars La Liga have at this point? You know what I mean? At least, look, I would say, and you guys would agree with me, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Haaland, Mbappe are the four big names, are the top names right now. And even other names like Kevin De Bruyne, Lukaku, KANTE. La Liga have none of that at this point. Of course Benzema is very good. Modric, of course, is very good. I'm not saying that there is no talent in La Liga, but when you compare La Liga with, I would say, even 5 years ago, you can see a very big difference. Even 1 year ago, Messi is already completely game changing for that Liga. Think about that. Because again, if you actually put critical thinking, look, why I'm investing in Camavinga? Is this a value investing? Is this some type of value investing that I'm doing, or is this a quick flip? That's a quick flip. Look, this video is not even for you, okay? But if you are value investing, come on, there is so many better options in the market. Okay, KANTE is just an example. Because look, I end up choosing KANTE, I could choose Frank Rijkaard. Legendary player. Rookies, very difficult to find, to be fair with you, but early cards still very affordable. Patrick Vieira, maybe one of the best in his, maybe the best box to box ever. Because a lot of people tell me, no, Camavinga is a box to box. Yes, not even close to the Patrick Vieira level. Busquets, for me actually, and I know a lot of you guys don't like Busquets, but for me actually the best defensive midfielder ever. And by the way, KANTE makes Pedri look cheap, in my perspective. By the way, actually, when I compare Pedri with Camavinga, not KANTE, I'm sorry, you guys understand what I said. Camavinga, Pedri makes Camavinga look cheap. When I compare Pedri with Camavinga, guys, the potential on Pedri is way higher. It's not even close. They are, I believe, same age, but there is a big difference, guys. Pedri is already one of the stars for Spain, maybe the star for Spain. He's already playing in the first 11. And by the way, he's a crucial player at Barcelona at this point. Guys, we are talking about different situations. Not even comparable. Okay? Guys, different worlds. Really different worlds. When you compare Pedri, again, if I try to... Apart from that, Pedri is way more offensive in the pitch. He creates more chances. Maybe goals, Pedri do not score a lot of goals, but creates more chances. He's more like a Iniesta, more like a Xavi. Camavinga is not that, I'm sorry. Moving on. And I'm putting a couple of pictures. Guys, think about. This man at a BGS 9 or a PSA 9 sells more or less the same as a PSA 10 or a PSA 9 for Camavinga. Again, Europa League, Champions League, World Cup, Premier League with Leicester, Premier League with Chelsea. And guess what? Not being a random player in the pitch, being most of the time the best player for the team. Oh, World Cup, Mbappe and Griezmann was better. Okay, but top 3. Champions League, I believe Jorginho was better. You are crazy. That's not the case. This man was better. Europa League, yeah, he was the best player for Chelsea. Premier League in Leicester, I believe, no, this man was the best player for Leicester. So, or even, again, this is debatable. I'm joking with you guys to some extent. You can say top 3, top 4, doesn't matter. Still crucial player. There is none of those titles where KANTE was an irrelevant player. If you don't put KANTE in top 3 relevant player for those titles, you are just being a hater for KANTE. So to finish this, guys, again, nothing against Camavinga, of course. Look, I wish the best for Camavinga in the sense that he seems like a very good player, but I'm just trying to push some critical thinking to this hobby. And again, if you are investing and paying a premium, I would say, for Haaland and Mbappe, I totally understand, to be fair, because look, there is a good chance those guys will win Ballon d'Or. There is actually a good chance at this point. And apart from that, we are talking about players that, as I said, scored 30 goals, 50 goals for season, which is quite crazy and quite unprecedented if you don't count Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. But when you talk about Camavinga, look, Camavinga is just another player. Camavinga actually remembers me a lot of Renato Sanches. By the way, Renato Sanches' world goal Golden Boy, and I don't believe Camavinga will win Golden Boy. Apart from that, again, if you want to compare with Kante, why not invest in Kante? That's what I'm trying to say to you. And again, the thing is, I know a lot of people will get mad at this video. A lot of Americans never saw Camavinga play. I know. I will not, of course, say names because that will be stupid. But I know a lot of Americans that think Camavinga is more a number 10 in the field. It's not the case, guys. Guys, hope you guys have a nice day. Think about this. Don't get caught in this type of FOMO, the fear of missing out. Maybe this is the next Ronaldinho, maybe this is the next Patrick Vieira, whatever. Look, sometimes, okay, is the next Ronaldinho? Let me see Ronaldinho prices. I cannot afford the rookie. Okay, take a look at the second year. Let's see Patrick Vieira rookies. You probably can. You may not know, but you probably can afford Kante and Patrick Vieira rookies. Why invest in Camavinga? Think about this. Look, if you tell me, oh, but I love Camavinga, I have a crazy big collection. Well, I don't know how. The player was playing for a small team in France, and you have great. It's just weird, okay, guys. The message is always the same. Collect things you love, of course, and price is what you pay, value is what you get. And look, there is a lot of value in Kante. I don't see a lot of value in Camavinga. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.